Okay, so, cruising around Miami these days, it's you just can't miss it,
Yeah.
The EVs are everywhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It seems like Florida's
It's amazing.
really they're holding strong at #2 in the whole country for EV adoption.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see them all over.
All over.
You see the Teslas,
Especially down in South Beach, right?
yeah, the Teslas gliding down Ocean Drive.
Yeah, yeah.
You see the Leafs, zipping along the Dolphin Expressway.
Yeah, more the practical EVs. I see a lot of those.
Yeah.
And it's really becoming the norm, I think.
It is. It's really interesting to watch this whole thing unfold
It is.
and kind of,
It really is.
become normalized.
It underscores how much electric mobility is really,
Yeah.
taking hold.
Gaining traction.
Yeah.
But, I think this whole shift
Uh-huh.
naturally brings up some new questions
Oh, yeah.
that we haven't really had to consider before.
Absolutely new challenges as more and more of these vehicles hit the roads.
Exactly. And that's really what we're going to dig into today in this deep dive.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, we all get it.
Yeah.
EVs, great perks, clean energy, quiet ride, all that.
Right.
But a pretty fundamental question comes to mind.
Yeah.
For me, at least. And maybe for you too listening.
Yeah.
What happens if you're out and about?
Uh-huh.
Maybe you're in Miami. You're heading from South Beach to a heat game.
Right.
And your EV battery just drops to 0.
Yeah, that's the big one. That's the question everyone asks, right?
I mean, it's not like running out of gas,
no.
where you can usually spot a gas station,
Right.
on every other corner.
Exact. We had decades
Right.
to build that infrastructure
Yeah.
for gas.
Yeah. So that's what's so interesting
Yeah.
about this whole conversation.
Yeah. And for EVs, it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
It is growing, but it's still playing catch up.
Right.
And that's where EV drivers can run into problems.
Yeah, they can find themselves in a real bind.
Yeah.
So that's really our mission in this deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to unpack this challenge specifically in Miami,
Right.
that unexpected dead battery.
Right.
And we're going to explore a solution that's emerging,
Okay.
which is emergency mobile EV charging.
Interesting.
So we really need to understand why this is becoming such a critical need.
Yeah, especially as more people are making that switch to electric, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, understanding these challenges is key to making this a smooth transition
It really is.
for everybody.
Okay, so let's just dive right in.
Right.
I think a good place to start is with what I'm calling the Miami EV range anxiety reality.
Okay.
We hear that term range anxiety a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's thrown around.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we just we think of it as a trendy phrase,
Right.
but it's not really just a trendy phrase, is it?
No, it's a real concern.
It's a genuine
The genuine concern.
concern. Yeah, and you know what? A recent survey showed that a pretty significant 68%
Wow.
of EV drivers in Miami have actually experienced range anxiety.
Yeah, that's a pretty sizable chunk, right?
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's that,
It is.
nagging feeling.
That worry, right?
That worry, yeah.
Will I have enough charge to make it to where I'm going?
Yeah, am I going to find a charging spot?
Right.
And actually what's interesting
Yeah.
is that studies are showing that Miami, compared to some other major metropolitan areas with similar EV adoption rates,
Right.
the anxiety might actually be a little bit higher here in Miami.
Interesting. I wonder why.
And I think that probably has to do with some of Miami's
Yeah.
unique characteristics.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, Miami's got
It really does.
some interesting things going on.
It does. And I think that's what makes this conversation so important.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Miami really throws in some unique challenges
It does.
to the EV mix.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the traffic, for starters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, getting caught in gridlock on I-95
Oh, forget about it.
or the Palmetto.
Yeah.
It's not just a headache.
No.
It's a drain on your battery.
It really is. It eats into your reins.
All that stop and go.
Yeah. And, it's funny because unlike gasoline engines, which are less thirsty when they're idling
Right.
EVs, they still draw power
Yeah.
to keep essential systems running.
Yeah, even in heavy traffic.
Exactly. And then every time you accelerate
Uh-huh.
from that standstill, it just demands so much energy.
Yeah. And, we've got the regenerative braking.
Right.
And
And the efficiency of those systems varies.
It does. It really does.
And it impacts how much is recovered
Yeah.
in those stop-and-go conditions.
So those unpredictable traffic patterns
Yeah,
really throw a wrench
they really do.
in even the most carefully planned EV trip.
Absolutely.
And then on top of the traffic, you've got the whole tourism angle.
Oh my gosh, tourism in Miami.
Huge.
Yeah, it's a magnet.
It is, and tons of visitors are renting EVs. They might not have the same familiarity.
Right, they don't know the area.
With the area, yeah.
They don't know where the charging stations are.
And they could so easily misjudge distances.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they're going from South Beach to Wynwood or...
Absolutely. Like, they're looking at a map.
Yeah.
But they don't realize, the energy it really takes to cover that distance.
Yeah, I have a friend who visited last year. Rented an EV and totally underestimated the impact of running the AC.
Yeah.
On a trip to Key Biscayne.
Oh, yeah.
Classic
mistake.
They just weren't thinking about it.
That AC in the Miami heat,
yeah,
it'll get you.
It really will. And speaking of the heat, that's another big factor.
That's huge.
Miami's extreme weather, the heat, the sudden downpours.
You can't escape it.
That's got to mess with battery performance.
It does.
And the accuracy of those range predictions.
Absolutely. I mean, those high temperatures really affect the chemical processes within the battery.
Interesting.
And then you get reduced efficiency.
And then a reduced range.
Exactly. And then you've got those extreme weather events.
Right.
Which can lead to disruptions in the power grid.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Or even, make charging stations inaccessible, which just adds to that whole range anxiety.
And it's not like you can just, stumble upon a charging station on every corner just yet.
No, it's growing, but there are still these pockets, right?
Yeah, and I know this is something that you follow closely.
I do. It's a big topic of conversation in the EV world.
What's the adequacy of the public charging infrastructure?
Yeah, and I think it's important to acknowledge that uneven distribution.
Absolutely.
If you live in certain neighborhoods, you might have fewer options.
Yeah.
And that makes the thought of your battery running low much more concerning.
Absolutely. So, put it all together. Yeah. The unpredictable traffic, the tourists, the extreme weather, the gaps in the charging infrastructure.
Yeah, it creates a very real demand.
It does.
For a backup plan.
Yeah, for some kind of solution.
Exactly.
Okay, so enter be charged.
Okay, be charged.
This sounds like a really interesting answer to all the problems we've been outlining.
Right.
It's essentially like roadside assistance.
Yeah.
But specifically for your EV battery.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
It's that immediate support when you see that low battery warning.
Instead of having to call a tow truck.
Yeah.
Desperately searching for a charger.
Right.
They bring the power to you.
Right to you.
Okay, so let's break this down.
Okay.
If you find yourself in that situation, what exactly do you do?
Okay, so step one, you call their number.
Okay, that's the number.
It's 888-675-9555.
888-675-9555.
Okay. You give me your location.
All right. And their coverage area is?
They specifically mention Brickell, Coral Gables. All of Miami-Dade County.
Okay. So pretty much covers...
That covers
most of the urban and surrounding areas.
Yeah. Okay. So you make the call.
Yeah.
Tell them where you are.
Right.
And then what?
And then you wait.
And you're not waiting hours, are you?
No, they're pretty quick.
Okay. Good.
That's part of their service.
Yeah.
They usually arrive within 30 minutes.
Okay.
Of course, it depends on traffic and how many calls they're dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
But the goal is to get to you quickly.
Okay, so they get there.
Yeah.
What kind of charge are we talking about?
They provide what they call a bridge charge.
Okay, a bridge charge.
Like a boost.
Okay.
Enough to give you between 15 and 30 miles of driving range.
So it's not a full recharge.
Not a full recharge.
But it's enough to get you to a charging station.
Exactly, or to your final destination if it's close by.
Right.
It's like, if someone stopped and gave you a gallon of gas to get to the next station.
It's that kind of thing.
That's a great analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
And this isn't just for one specific type of EV, right?
No, they work with all the major brands.
Okay.
Teslas, Nissan Leafs, Chevy Bolts, all of them.
And that's really important because the EV market is...
Yeah, it's so diverse.
Yeah,
it's important to be compatible.
Absolutely. So I think what could really help us understand how valuable this service can be is to look at some specific scenarios.
Okay. I like this.
Actual examples of how Be Charged is helping people.
All right.
So we have a few stories here.
Okay.
The first one is Jason M.
Jason M.
He's a tourist.
Okay.
Who ran into some trouble down on South Beach.
All right.
And this is a perfect illustration.
Classic tourist in Miami.
He rented a Tesla.
Okay.
Was driving around.
Oh, explore, right?
Exploring South Beach.
Yeah.
Running the AC.
Oh, goes
Yeah, the AC.
in that heat.
And he didn't anticipate how quickly the battery would drain.
Yeah.
And he found himself with 5% battery.
Oh, no.
No charging options in sight.
Ooh, that's a tough spot.
So let's hear what he had to say.
Okay, what did he say?
He said, "We rented a Tesla for our Miami vacation and spent the day exploring South Beach.
Yeah.
We didn't realize how quickly the battery would drain with the AC running in Miami's heat.
It gets you every time.
By evening, we were at 5% battery with no charging stations available nearby.
Wow.
Be charged. Saved our night out."
Oh, what a lifesaver.
They really were.
Yeah, you're on vacation, unfamiliar surroundings.
Right.
You don't know where the chargers are.
Yeah, and then that AC just draining the battery.
He gets you every time.
Yeah. And then you have Maria L.
Okay, Maria L.
She's a Miami resident.
All right.
Found herself in a tight spot in Wynwood.
Wynwood, okay.
Yeah, and this really shows what it's like to be navigating a busy urban environment.
In an EV.
Yeah, in an EV.
Yeah.
So Maria,
yeah,
she drove from Kendall to Wynwood for an art walk.
Right.
Thought she had plenty of charge
for
the round trip.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But the constant stop-and-go traffic.
Oh, yeah, that'll get you in Wynwood.
Yeah.
Especially on a busy night.
And trying to find parking.
Circling around for parking.
Circling for parking.
Yeah.
Took a toll on her Nissan Leaf's battery.
Oh, yeah.
So here's what she had to say.
Okay.
"I drove from Kendall to Wynwood for the art walk, thinking I had plenty of charge for the round trip.
Yeah.
After hours of stop-and-go traffic and circling for parking, my Nissan Leaf was dangerously low on power.
Wow.
Finding a working charger in Wynwood on a busy night was impossible.
Oh, yeah.
Mobile charging meant I didn't have to cut my evening short.
It really does make a difference, right?
It does that feeling of being so close to home
Yeah.
and not having enough charge."
Yeah, and you think, in a place like Wynwood,
Right.
you'd be able to find a charger.
You'd think.
But if it's a busy night,
Yeah.
they might all be taken to Kelp.
Exactly. And then our last story is Carlos R.
Okay.
This one really, I think, hits home
I think so.
for anyone who's experienced Miami traffic.
Oh, yeah.
So Carlos S. lives in Doral
Okay. Bored.
and experienced what I think every commuter dreads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unexpected delays
That's the worst.
due to an accident
Oh, no.
that shut down the Dolphin Expressway for hours.
Hours.
Wow. So here's what he said. "Nothing drains an EV battery like unexpected traffic.
So true.
When an accident shut down the Dolphin Expressway for hours, my carefully planned commute turned into a battery emergency.
Yeah.
Be charged met me right on the expressway shoulder."
Wow. So they can really come to you anywhere.
It's really remarkable.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I mean, imagine being stuck on the shoulder
Right.
with a dead battery.
That's a stressful situation.
It is.
And potentially dangerous.
Yeah, and they came right to him.
It really speaks to the flexibility of this mobile service.
Yeah, because they can access locations
Right.
that traditional charging stations just can't.
Exactly.
So it's pretty remarkable.
It is.
Now, beyond those individual emergency scenarios, it sounds like Be Charged has something.
Okay.
For those who are driving EVs more regularly,
Okay.
they have the safety net membership.
Interesting safety net membership.
And I think this is for people who...
if you're relying on your EV day in, day out.
Exactly. Day in and day out.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
Okay, so they offer this membership.
Yeah.
It's an added layer of security and convenience.
All right.
And it's for an annual fee, $99 a year.
Okay. $99 a year.
And you get several benefits.
Okay, so break down those benefits for us.
All right, so one of the key ones is priority service.
Okay.
So let's say there's like a huge storm and everyone's batteries are dying.
Yeah.
As a member, you get faster service.
Okay, so that priority service seems really important in Miami.
Especially with that crazy weather.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so what else?
You also get discounted rates on the emergency charging.
So if you do need to use it...
Yeah, you save some money.
You save some money.
That's always good.
All right, what else is in there?
You also get regular battery health checks.
Battery health checks.
Yeah, so they'll actually look at your battery and analyze it.
Interesting.
So it's more than just the percentage on your dash.
Okay, so it's really preventative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Catch those issues before they become big problems. And then the last thing, you get access to exclusive charging locations.
Exclusive charging locations.
Yeah. So throughout Miami, think less crowded charging spots.
That sounds like a huge perk.
It is, especially in those busy areas.
Like for someone who's, a daily commuter.
A rideshare driver.
Yeah, or a rideshare driver.
Spending a lot of time in their EV.
The safety net membership really sounds like.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Peace of mind and practical benefits.
Absolutely.
All in one.
Okay, so I think the next question that a lot of people will have is what about the environmental impact?
That's a big one.
It is, is mobile charging really sustainable?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because you're bringing a generator to charge an electric vehicle.
Which might seem counterintuitive.
It does seem a little counterintuitive.
But there are some positive environmental aspects.
Okay, lay them on me.
Okay, so first, let's think about the alternative.
Okay.
Towing.
Okay.
Towing an EV that uses a lot of energy.
It does.
And it creates emissions from the tow truck.
Right.
Mobile charging often eliminates the need for towing.
So that's a win right there.
Right there.
Yeah, less emissions.
Exactly. And then companies like Be Charged, they're using more eco-friendly generators in their units.
Interesting. So they're not using, those old gas guzzlers?
No, they're using the new cleaner technology.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're avoiding the tow truck. We're using cleaner generators. What about the big picture?
The big picture is even better.
Okay.
So mobile charging helps support EV adoption overall.
Okay.
Because it reduces that range anxiety and it provides that safety net.
People feel more comfortable.
Exactly. They feel more comfortable.
Switching to EVs.
And that leads to lower emissions overall.
Right, because more people are driving electric.
Exactly.
And for a city like Miami, which is, really susceptible to climate change.
Big time.
That's a really crucial thing to consider.
It is. And it helps Miami achieve those sustainability goals.
So it's really about facilitating that transition.
To a more sustainable system.
Absolutely.
It's a bridge.
Okay, so looking ahead.
Yeah.
Miami is moving toward a more electric future.
It really is.
I know Miami-Dade County has this EV Ready program.
Yes, EV Ready. I'm familiar with that one.
With some pretty ambitious targets.
It is ambitious. Yeah. And one of the key components is incentivizing that charging infrastructure in underserved communities.
Right. So they're really trying to address
are.
that uneven distribution that we talked about.
Exactly.
So the goal is 30%.
Wow, 30%.
Of all vehicles registered in Miami-Dade to be electric by 2030.
That's a big jump.
It is.
That's only a few years away.
It's not that far away.
It's coming up quick.
So where does mobile charging fit into all of this?
I see it as a bridge technology.
Okay.
While they're building out that permanent infrastructure, mobile charging makes sure that people aren't left stranded.
Right.
It fills in the gaps.
So it's really about building that confidence.
Yeah, make EV ownership more practical.
Yeah.
Less stressful.
For more people.
Exactly.
And it's a really crucial role, I think.
I think so, too.
In making this happen.
It addresses that immediate need.
Yeah.
And contributes to the long-term goal.
Absolutely. So to wrap things up.
Okay.
The key takeaway is that for anyone in Miami who's either driving an EV or thinking about it.
Thinking about making the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The availability of emergency mobile charging offers peace of mind.
A huge peace of mind.
Yeah, knowing that a service like Be Charged exists.
Knowing that you're not going to be stranded.
Yeah.
It really does.
And it sounds like for those frequent drivers, that safety net membership.
Yeah, that's a good option.
Yeah.
For that extra level of support.
So for anyone listening who wants to learn more.
Yeah.
Or maybe needs assistance right now.
How
can they get in touch with Be Charged?
Okay, so you can call them directly. 888-675-9555.
888-675-9555.
Or visit their website.
And what's that?
It's bechargedev.com.
bechargedev.com.
Fredly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, as we finish this deep dive, it makes you think about how these mobile charging solutions might develop.
Right. What's next?
Yeah. And what impact they could have.
Yeah.
Not just in Miami.
But all over.
But in cities all around the world.
Yeah.
Could this be the key to even faster EV adoption?
Yeah.
And a fundamental reshaping of how we think about getting around.
It's a big question.
It's a huge question.
Yeah.
Especially as we see more and more EVs on the road.
Every day.
Every day. So it'll be really interesting to see how this all unfolds.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Me too.
It's going to be an interesting ride.